Last time on the Excelsior Health Podcast.
You have a good way of making someone feel comfortable, making them feel heard, making them smile, but then also, you gotta lift heavier.
Mm-hmm.
We got to work a little bit more, like pushing them a little bit out of that comfort zone. So I think a good coach knows how to do both.
Yeah.
So what I want to transition now to is, how did you become a coach? Right? So right now you're 20 years old. You're coaching 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 40-year-olds, people that could be your parents,
Yeah.
people that could be your
My grandparents.
your grandparents. So it's like, how do you feel coaching those people? But then how did you also, can you give us like the insight of how you became the coach?
Okay. Which one should I start with first?
Just start from the beginning, your story.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. Like my whole fitness journey, growing up, I've always been someone that played sports, in elementary school, in middle school, and high school. I would always play basketball. I played football. I did volleyball. I did soccer. So I was always technically an active person, but I never really worked out and trained. So I did all those things. In high school, I think there's always this pressure when you're young and when you're in high school that you have to know what you want to be. You have to know what your future is, what your career path is, what university and what school to go to. And for me, that was something that never really came to me right away, just like how everybody else did. But I was in grade 12, so my last year in high school. And I remember this day, exactly. I was upstairs, and they were downstairs in the living room, and they called me down. They're like, honey, I gotta talk to you. Coach Carms, whatever it is. Honey, I gotta talk to you. And I didn't really know what to expect. And they said, do you want to be a coach? I was like, what? Like, me? I didn't really ever think of me in that way, just because I was a very shy, reserved person, not confident, and I couldn't even look people in the eye when I was talking to him. And they kept asking me, and I don't know, it took a very long time to respond. There was just so many things that were going inside my mind. I was like, what if I can't do this? If I can't deliver a message? What if I can't coach people that are way older than me and way more mature? And there were so many questions that were going inside of my mind. But the thing that made me want to take a chance is because I wasn't saying no inside of my head. I was just saying what ifs. And if is something that gave me belief that there is possibility that I can become a coach. And then I said, yeah, sure. And then we did the internship. I did that during school, actually, so during exams. I remember going through that process, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, so give everybody insight, the internship that we have, that we take a lot of our coaches for. One, they got to dedicate their time. It's 12 hours a week of being in the facility, shadowing different coaches, but then there's a lot of homework. So there's a lot of courses that we make them take to get them the understanding, the science of training, but then also the emotional intelligence of being a leader and the art of coaching. So, she's basically in grade 12 going through this. And also what you had to do is you had to wake up 5 a.m, work out, then do her internship, then go to school, oftentimes come back, do her internship. So at a very early age, I think it helped you understand work ethic, but also just time management and prioritizing what's important.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. But let's rewind back. Let's go to your transformation journey, because in order to be a coach, you have to be fit. You have to have a certain personality. You have to have a certain mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to rewind back, because you mentioned something. You said, I didn't really look people in the eyes. Okay, so talk to us about your starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Health, fitness,
childhood,
mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, so just growing up, I was just always naturally someone who was shy and reserved. I would always be in the shadows, behind. I wouldn't be that person that would initiate a conversation. I wouldn't go out of my way to talk to people. I would always just be
reserved,
the daughter of my mom. I always felt like I was kind of behind her in life. And for me, it was just I wasn't confident with myself because I didn't know who I was. And for me, I was always someone who was skinny. Like I didn't work out. Like I was very, very weak. Like the weights that I'm lifting now and the lifts that I'm doing now are push-ups and chin-ups. Like people see that and they think that those things I've always been able to do that, but it was something definitely that took 8 years of training and working out. But even so, I would say when I was younger, like starting off at 11 and doing it in middle school and even the beginning of high school, I didn't really take it seriously. Like I was just kind of doing it. You could kind of say I was forced as well too, just because growing up in this business, you're kind of expected to. But I would say I really, really took it seriously during the time of COVID, right? So when COVID happened, everybody was like a shit show. Like no one knew what to do. Nobody was working. Everyone was staying at home. And I think I was fortunate enough to grow up in this place and have access to a gym. And I seen it as an opportunity to take myself to the next level. So like you said, I worked out with you, other amazing students that we had as well too, and seeing what elite level that they were able to put their bodies to and do amazing things. I seen that I had to take myself to that point as well too.
How would you describe Honey growing up?
I would describe Honey as, like she mentioned, she was very shy, very timid, but once she got to know you, like her personality would blossom. Like then she wasn't that shy kid. She was funny. I would say we were really close because, I was a single mom and everywhere we went, like, or everything I did or what we did, like, we did together. Like, we slept in the same bed, we would shower together.
You don't
like,
have to say
I'm just saying, like, she was my mini-me, and she was just, like, a really good child, though. She wasn't a child that wanted attention or whiny, complainy. Like, she was very easygoing and, like, very understanding, I would say. And maybe it's because the environment of growing up with another single mom, like I lived with my mom and she was single, and just like a house full of females. So very like that emotional side, I guess, because females, we are emotional and, we learn to be independent and strong.
Yeah. I'll give some perspective on like even your development from transformation student, right, to coach. So when I met Carmela, she was like 6 years old. I remember one story, me and Susie are dating. I'm at the library. I'm doing some work. And then Susie's like, hey, boo, do you want me to bring you like some food or anything? I was like,
this is in Windsor.
Yeah, I'm a student. I'm like, yeah, like, let me get some food, like 100%. So Susie drives. And at this time, me and Susie are dating, but we're very, respectful and mindful of like, hey, I'm not going to come around Carmela if we're not like really taking this like serious. And she brought Honey in the car. And I think you told me like, yeah, my daughter's going to be there. So just letting you know. And I remember coming to the car and I'm like, hey, Honey, what's up? And she was like, only my family called me Honey. And I was like, oh, okay. Hey, Carmela. So when she says she was shy, like she was shy.
Yeah.
She would look down. She wouldn't say hi to a lot of people. But as she was saying, she was very compassionate, because once I got to know her and once me and Susie were like, hey, we're gonna go through life together and we're gonna take this on. She used to call me Big Cory. Yeah. That was like my nickname.
Remember she wrote you a letter saying, if you
mess around with my mom or whatever.
If you hurt my mom, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah. This is when she was like 11 years old.
So, but one thing I will say when it comes to that is like, you made me dating your mom easy. You know what I mean? Because it was never for me being a guy, did I ever think, hey, I'm going to, build a life with a woman who already has a daughter. You know what I'm saying? Especially at the age, we're dating at like 23. But when I came around you and I started to interact with you, one, I loved you because you're athletic, this little scrawny kid that wanted to like play and do stuff, but you were so well behaved that it made it easy for me to be like, you know what? I could do this. But then there was a part of me too, I guess that's like the coach part of me, that always looked at you as like, man, like this girl could be more, so we would play basketball and we would do certain things, and it became, my role wasn't, to be your dad. because your dad was around still. Like you would visit him and stuff like that, and he would support in that sense. But I felt like you needed a coach. And that was kind of like my role is like, hey, if she's going to come live with me and we're going to do this thing together, she's got to adopt this lifestyle, right? Is like, you got to work out, you got to take care of your mind. And that was kind of like part of, I think, your transformation is when she moved here and I opened the dojo, she was about 11 years old, grade 6, didn't have any friends here. So literally Susie and Carmella like uplifting their whole life in coming here. And this is within just a couple months of us opening up training for warriors. And I remember us dropping you off at school and you wanting to sit in the car because you didn't know anybody.
Yeah, we had to wait till the bell rang.
She didn't know anybody. So it was like, as a parent or as a step parent, it's like, fuck, man. Like, I hate seeing her not confident.
I think I cried.
Yeah, she cried multiple times. But I said, yo, she'll be okay. She'll be okay. But one of the things that we did, though, is after school is we started to work out. And part of her journey, and this is for any parent out there that's thinking like, man, when do I train my kids? It starts with you. So me and her, we did the warm-ups. Like before I would have the classes, it was like, okay, hey, Carmela, this is the warm-up. And we just stopped there. 15-minute workout. Then it became, hey, we're going to do some cardio workouts. And I remember that little video of her. That's it.
During the hurricane. Oh my God, it's so cute.
So she's 12 years old learning these things, but just the bare minimum, right? And then it became, okay, we're going to do some weight training. So she's fortunate enough that she had parents that kind of knew what they were doing. But at basically 12 years old, grade 8, summertime, she was doing workouts in our program. But like you said, like you weren't taking it.
Yeah, I was forced.
It was more forced.
I didn't really enjoy it. So I guess it's just when you're young, you don't really understand what the importance of working out and health is. But I probably would have done it again if it wasn't because of you guys who knew how important it was, and you just make it a part of your kids, and then your kids will start to realize the importance of it after.
Yeah.
And I seen it though, like even watching you in the classes, I seen the forced interaction of eye contact, high fives, having to talk to other people, having to learn how to be a good teammate. So those, like the way you are now is not the way you used to be. Those are all skills that you developed, right?
Yeah.
And then I think part of the journey that I want to say is as you started working out and you went to high school, you started to meet more people, right? But then sports.
Yeah.
And from a coach perspective, that's the cool thing is I saw how you working out helped you as an athlete. And then, she was an amazing football player. She won a championship in grade 10 and all these things I seen, played basketball, all these things that elevated your confidence. But then COVID happened, right? So you're
the last year too.
Not even the last year.
No, it was like
11,
I went
12.
from grade 9, beginning of grade 10, all the way up until like grade 12, basically.
Yeah. So grade 10, she's becoming popular. She's starting to gain this confidence, coming to her own, but then COVID happens. And that's, I think, the part of the journey for you, from my side of things, being your coach, is when you started to be more invested into your health is everything shut down. It's you and your family. I don't have any other distractions. Maybe some of the friends you're hanging out at the time with, they didn't care about working out, but that's when you went all in on fitness and really changed the trajectory of your health. So I guess my question for you is, what were some of the biggest challenges along that path that you overcame to be who you are today?
I think I was like thinking about this one. It's like hard to think about on a day-to-day basis, like what are the things and the struggles that you'd went through. But I think one of the hardest things is, like how you said before, like I've had to hang out with less people. I think just in life, like losing certain people that you're just so used to. Like I think relationships, or it'd be like, I don't want to say family, but just like people that you've always grown up with, and even like friendships, just to say goodbye to like good memories and good times that you had with certain people. I think that was probably the hardest challenge of just growing up, I guess. Like, it's like kind of that weird phase of like, you're adulting, but you're still young. But then me learning that people are going to come in your life for a reason or a season. And I think that was the thing that people don't really tell you unless you actually go through it. That's when you actually understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of we still go through that.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that's your whole life, that people always come and go.
Yeah.
Because people change too.
And then when people, I think, see you on camera, or a lot of the coaches, or sorry, the students that see you in the gym, they see this confident, strong woman that can talk to 12 people, talk to guys in their 30s and 40s. Hey, let's go. Come on. You got to be on it. What has led to this confidence? Like, if you can give us some specifics, because there's a lot of parents that come to me and Susie and they're like, man, like, I wish my daughter was like Carmela. I wish my son was like Carmela. Like, how is she like that?
Sure.
And also, what I always tell them is like, hey, she wasn't always like that. She built that. She built that through habits. She built that through being uncomfortable, through learning. But maybe for you, if you can give some insight, like, what are some of the things that has allowed you to build this confidence?
I think I wouldn't be this person if it wasn't for this program here. Like, TFW literally saves lives, and it saved my life in terms of I was that shy and reserved person, and I've always known I've had this potential and person inside of me, and it's kind of enforced me to let that person out. So day-to-day basis of training, becoming more confident, but I would say, like, really it elevated and escalated in the process of being a coach, like being forced to tell a motivational message of the day, which I hated doing. Like, I could not publicly speak and like talk to people as well that are like older than me. Like, how am I supposed to give motivation to them? But just like always showing up every single day, it's allowed me to develop the potential and the confidence within myself to be able to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I would add in too is just coachable. You know what I mean? I think it's easy for someone young. I consider myself young right now too, but someone who's maybe a decade away from you telling you, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this. You're like, yeah, you don't understand where I'm at. But for you, I never really got that. I think as, you know, my daughter, as a student, it's always an open mind in being able to take constructive criticism. And obviously sometimes your mom does it more with a bigger heart. Sometimes I'm a little bit more blunt, but I think that's one of your strengths is you've been coachable to criticism. And a lot of the times when you're told something, you end up doing it. You might not do it the best, but you end up taking action and then slowly getting better at it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely one that, like, it's hard for me to notice those things, but I think you notice it very well. But I notice that when you tell me things or things that I have to do better or things that I have to improve, like, for the most part, I'll take initiative, I'll take action on those things. Yeah.
Another question I got, like, kind of wrapping up today is, how was it being raised by your mom? So your mom had you at 17 years old, right? So you guys obviously have a very strong connection. How was that? How is that, you know, how is your mom? How is that journey? You know, how, you know, separated parents, how has that influenced or impacted your life?
Well, so my parents, like, honestly, I don't even remember them together. I think I was very young. Like, to understand, I don't know, I was like three. I was three. So I didn't really know what was happening, but I think part of me being the person that I am, how you said, I'm very understanding. Like, it wasn't because of me, it was because of you. And my parents, they always had a great relationship. I think people who are divorced or parents that end up splitting, like, a lot of the healthy relationship, you have to still connect to that person because you guys have a child with each other. They've always communicated. My dad, he lives in Kitchener, so they would always meet halfway just so they could both see me. But growing up with my mom, like, I wouldn't have even realized that she was a single mother. Like, she did such a great job of being a great role model. And there we go. But the person that I am that everybody sees, yes, it's because of the things that I've done on my own, but it's because I've had such a great role model and leader to show me how to be a woman of power and how to be someone that doesn't take shit from other people, but is somebody that lives life to the fullest and has fun, like how you said before.
What are some things like, as a young woman that you see in your mom that just influences you, that, other busy moms, because like a lot of the people that listen to this, they're busy moms, that maybe they can model from Susie and say, hey, you know what? I want to impact my daughter like how Coach Carmela has impacted. What are some things that Susie has done to really influence you?
Well, if I'm talking about like from me before as a kid,
Yeah.
I feel like she has always made me first. Like for somebody who, like again, 17 years old, to have a kid at such a young age, it's like you had to throw your entire life away just for your kid to have the best possible life ever. And I think that is why I'm such a great person, because of her. But if I'm talking about from a now perspective, is seeing her always prioritize her health, obviously, working out, eating right, but also just the way she expresses her loves to her kids, like always making sure that they feel confidence, they feel like it's making sure that they're okay in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, and even with that point, like a single mom who's watching this episode right now, who's just like, man, I'm struggling. Like I'm having a hard time raising my daughter. I'm having a hard time raising my son. I have no time to take care of my health. Is there any advice that you would give them?
I think the biggest advice is that it's okay to ask for help, that if you need the support, don't be scared, because, what's that saying? It takes an army to...
It takes a village.
It takes a village, right? So like if I needed help, I knew I could ask my sisters, I could ask my mom. And that's the thing, is your support system and the people you surround yourself with, whether it is family or friends, like they're the people that's going to help you along your journey. So it's important to keep good people with you, because you're always going to need help, whether it's now, later, or eventually in the future. And what you give out, being a good person, like you're going to get back. So I think, my advice is don't be scared to ask for help and don't feel like you're ever alone.
And the thing that I kind of see between their dynamic as being stepdad, being, Susie's partner in life, it's like what you do, whether you intentionally do it in front of them or not, they notice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, as a parent, it's really, really important for you to pay attention to your health, paying attention to your vocabulary, how you talk, how you think, just what you do. Because I think from 6 years old to now 20 years old, your actions have somewhat influenced your actions. And, I think seeing what your mom had to go through, as a parent at 17 years old, that has influenced you to be like, hey, I'm not going to do that route. I'm going to make different decisions. But paying attention to how your mom loves on people, she encourages other people, how she's so optimistic, how she works hard, like all those things, those are also things that you've taken away as well.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to add something that, like, with my relationship with you, like, I feel like, yes, you're my mom, but this is corny, but you're also my best friend. Like, if I just think about, like, I never really had one person to call a best friend, but I feel like for you, you're not just my mom. Like, you're somebody that I enjoy hanging out with. I enjoy going to the mall with, or getting my nails done. Like, it's not just you're disciplining me, but you're also being a person that I enjoy doing life with as well.
I love you, honey.
But I think that's the beautiful part of, like, you guys have a connection of mom and daughter. You guys have gone through so many things together. But I think also what keeps you guys so strong is you guys work out together. You walk together, you train together, you compare weights, right? So it's like, hey, if you're a mom listening to this right now, or a dad and you have your son, one of the best things about life is like, man, if you transform your health and now you can share the journey with your kid, that only strengthens the bond of what you guys can do together. So last couple of questions to wrap up. You know, I love this episode, and you know, we're not talking about everything that has to do with health. We're talking about parenting, which is important. I have a question as a stepdad is, let's say you're going into a situation, you know, there's people that are listening to this where it's a blended family. You know, they're coaching or parenting someone that wasn't their biological kid. What has been some things that maybe I've done as a parent that has made this work? What are some things that like don't do as a parent? Because I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't do well, but maybe if you can give some advice from your perspective to the stepdads out there, to the stepmoms out there on to make the situation easier.
I think one thing you do great of, and it's something that you actually always bring up that you're always scared of, is like not overstepping boundaries. Like, so knowing like, yes, you are a father figure in my life, but you're my stepdad, right? So you play your roles properly where, you know, you're going to support me, you're going to be there for me if I need to talk to, but then also too, that great side that you said is like, you're a coach and you're a leader in my life that I look up to, and you're that person that I think out of all the people in the world, like you push me the most, and you've always kind of seen the potential inside of me when I wouldn't see it. It's like you always notice the things I do great, the things that I could improve on, and you're that person that always tells me if I need to do better. Like, I think that's something that you do great on. Something that maybe could be better, I would say, I think it's more we struggle with emotional connection, where it's like, I don't know, well, you're not going to talk to me about like boyfriends and all those things. Maybe, but like, I feel like, I don't know, just like emotional connection where like we know what to do, like from work base and the family business, but I think we need more like daughter father time, you could say, rather than coach and boss time.
Yeah. And being, I guess, even as a stepdad, is communicating that, like, because like for me, I think the challenge is I've always not wanted to overstep that boundary and make you feel uncomfortable. But I think from what you're saying, it's communicating that and then showing it more, right? Versus just like, hey, we're going to go work out. Hey, we're going to like do this in our jobs in the family business. So I think for the takeaway for any stepdad is, hey, communicate and figure out what are those boundaries that need to be set, but what are those things that both of you guys want to have more together, right? So, overall, hey, you know, I'm super proud of you. I'll just take the time to do this. I'm proud of the woman that you're becoming, from the insecure, you know, 11-year-old who would look down, not really strike up a conversation, to this 20-year-old who's strong, confident, beautiful, attractive woman who now is developing these skills to change other people's lives. And I said this on another episode, is your story is somebody else's salvation. There's some other woman right now, there's some other insecure guy out there right now that they've went through the same things. And you got to take your life experiences and share that story with others and help so many people transform. And that's why you are the lead coach at such a young age, at 20 years old, but it's because you have a story. And I want you to just have that confidence is, yeah, since 10 years old, you've been training, you've been going through this transformation journey. So you are equipped to help people in their 30s and 40s and 50s, but you got to keep progressing. So my last question for you to wrap up the podcast is, what's next for you? What's next for Coach Carms? What's some of the things that we should look forward to seeing in your journey?
Should look forward to many more lifts. But in terms of like Coach Carms, I think part of me is just, I think that I've been doing this for a long time, but I really haven't. Like, it's only been like, it's almost going to be 3 years actually, like going into the next month. But I think there's so much for me to grow in terms of my knowledge, like, so learning more about how the program works, and then even learning, I guess, from more of your perspective as well too, because it's a business perspective. I want to, part of my mission as well too, to align it with the business is it's a family business. So I want to be there and help out as much as I can to support you guys. And even how you've talked about how it's not something that you could see yourself doing, like you want to give it to the next person and you always see me as being that person. So I think just day by day learning more responsibilities. So success meetings, maybe sale meetings, like just learning what it's like to be in your perspective as a business owner.
Love it. Susie, last thoughts?
No, I would just say I'm super proud of you, honey, and you know, I wouldn't change anything. I think everything that we've gone through in life and in your journey has made myself, has made you who you are. So, you know, sometimes there's going to be struggles, obstacles, challenges in your life, but there's, you know, an outcome that there's a reason why you're going through those challenges. And there is always a good outcome. You just have to go through the hard first.
Good. Hey, so this was an amazing episode. Again, another good interview. You know, send this to someone who wants to have some tips on what they can do to transform their health. Coach Carms gave a lot of good advice. But then, hey, this is an episode that I think really went into like parenting, raising our kids, relationships. So anybody that you think would benefit from this conversation about, hey, what it is to be a role model, what it is to be a healthy parent, how to raise a healthy kid, I think these are all great conversations that more people would benefit. So we'd appreciate you guys sharing the podcast. And hey, listen, the more we share this podcast, the more I could get even better guests to come on here and we can help more people. All right. So I'm Coach Cory. This is
Everyone's favorite coach, Coach Carms.
Coach Susie.
And we're signing out, guys. Beasted.